John Anderson had always prided himself on being an adaptable soul, one who could place his hands upon any weary frame and somehow coax the hidden tensions to unravel. For many years, he practiced his therapeutic art across local spas, plush resorts, and even remote lodges that offered hot stone massages under starlit skies. Yet, in those early days, he had never imagined that his gift, a mere set of hands blessed with meticulous training, would catapult him into an interstellar adventure beyond his wildest dreams. As fate would have it, one fateful evening, while reorganizing his cramped one-bedroom apartment, John received a peculiar transmission, a digital missive delivered via a device that was far from mundane. He had been napping, lulled by the soft hum of the city outside his window, when the soft chime of his trans-atmospheric communicator buzzed. That communicator had been a birthday gift from an eccentric friend who was enthralled by alien conspiracies, and John had never taken it too seriously. Yet on this particular evening, it was alive with a message he could scarcely fathom. There, glowing with a faint shimmer that suggested it might be from beyond Earth, lay an offer of employment, written in elegant, swirling script. Esteemed Mr. John Anderson, your reputation as a uniquely gifted massage therapist has reached our ears on planet Lyra, 7, home to the famed Orellum Spa. We cordially invite you to practice your art here, catering to our diverse clientele. Should you accept, you will be offered full privileges, comfortable lodging, and a handsome compensation package. We look forward to your response. At first, he believed it to be some elaborate prank. A planetary spa? A corner of the galaxy's best-kept secret? It sounded like an imaginative hoax. Yet, the more he read, the more he was drawn to the authenticity behind the words, and soon, a sense of stirring curiosity bloomed in his chest. He had grown tired of the repetitive routine on Earth, of the competition between local spas, and of the meager pay that never quite matched the dedication he poured into his craft. He found himself writing a cautious reply, asking clarifications, and requesting details about travel arrangements. To his shock, an immediate response appeared, promising swift transportation to and from Lyra, 7 by means of a certified interstellar shuttle. The sender assured him there would be little risk, and if for any reason John found himself dissatisfied with conditions, he could depart at his leisure, returning with no questions asked. The pay was particularly generous, enough to tempt even the most prudent. It was an opportunity he simply could not dismiss. Within a fortnight, John stood on a concealed airstrip outside the city, the sleek glimmer of a starship beckoning him forward. The ship, a slender silver craft shaped like a gleaming arrowhead, opened its hatch with a silent whisper, revealing a pilot of uncertain species, clad in a lavender robe. Without a word, John was guided to a plush seat. The interior of the vessel was surprisingly spacious, a corridor lined with seats that molded themselves to fit his body shape. Before he could even remark on his amazement, the engines purred to life, and with a gentle burst of acceleration, they ascended into the night sky. There was a moment of vertigo, a kaleidoscope of star-studded wonder, and then Earth fell away beneath him. Faster than any human airplane could manage, the craft traversed the void, slipping through some invisible corridor that bridged the stars. John's eyes widened at the swirling interplay of color in the windows. He felt a twinge of fear, a pang of excitement, and a flutter of anticipation all at once. After a short while, though John suspected there had been some bending of space-time, he caught the first glimpse of Lyra, 7, a quiet planet with radiant turquoise seas, rolling hills of shimmering amber, and a ring of luminous dust reflecting the starlight in a golden halo. The pilot brought the craft gracefully down onto a marble-like landing pad that rose from a valley surrounded by spired towers. The planet's air was faintly sweet, like honeyed breeze, and from the moment John stepped outside, he sensed that nothing would ever be quite the same again. A short distance away, the Orellum Spa greeted him with a grandeur that rivaled any earthly luxury resort. It sat perched on a cliff of lavender stone, overlooking a bright lagoon that sparkled under 2 pastel-hued moons. The architecture combined ornate arches, embedded crystals, and smooth walls that pulsed with energy. If John had still harbored any doubt about the spa's authenticity, it vanished in that instant. He was greeted by the spa's head of guest relations, a tall figure with soft azure skin and eyes like molten silver. Introduced as Mr. Tythax, he explained that Zyra 7 prided itself on offering intergalactic relaxation. Aristocrats, explorers, and dignitaries from countless star systems flocked there to experience rejuvenating treatments found nowhere else in the cosmos. John's role would be to serve as a top-tier, specialized massage therapist, renowned for his delicate yet potent technique. In the days that followed, John adapted quickly. His initial anxieties about the swirling array of alien species, some bearing scales, others covered with opalescent feathers, a few with mesmerizing fractal patterns on their skin, dissipated once he realized that, beneath their otherworldly exteriors, they all suffered from the same sorts of stresses and aches that any sentient being might. The Orellum Spa's corridors bustled with staff from many worlds, each with a unique skill. Aquatic specialists who massaged amphibious clients in underwater chambers, telepathic healers who eased mental strain, and gravity manipulators who realigned posture using the subtle push and pull of planetary forces. John's appointment calendar was filled with individuals across the galaxy. Each day, he ventured into a softly lit chamber of swirling purple lights, prepared the table, set out aromatic oils that shimmered with faint luminescence, and welcomed the day's guests. He learned quickly to tailor his techniques, adjusting pressure depending on whether his client's physiology required firm kneading or only the gentlest stroke. But his success, that intangible gift for reading tension buried in the muscles, soared beyond expectations. Word of mouth spread with astonishing speed, and soon, many queued for weeks just to experience John's special brand of soothing therapy. The management at Orellum was thrilled. Yet, though he kept busy, John was not entirely immune to lonely evenings. The architecture was majestic, the staff polite, but free time left him adrift in a sea of foreign wonders. He sometimes wandered the luminescent gardens, drifting under the twin moons, lost in thought. He missed the reassuring, familiar aspects of Earth. Milkshakes at a diner, the clang of bustling city streets, and the silly jokes he shared with fellow humans. Still, he told himself, new experiences shaped growth. And if he felt pangs of homesickness, he soothed them by reminding himself that he was forging a path no other earthling had ventured to undertake. Unknown wonders, and perhaps friendships, awaited him here. Within a few months, John had earned a respected position. On most days, he would rise at dawn to catch the sunrise over the lagoon, an event that bathed the horizon in stripes of gold and turquoise. Then he would don his spa attire, chat briefly with the staff about the day's schedule, and greet his first appointments. This routine brought him a new sense of joy. Something about the calm hush of the spa corridors, the knowledge that he was practicing a universal good, made him feel alive with purpose. Then, on a day that began like any other, fate decided to throw him off balance. An unfamiliar name appeared on his schedule, Lady Lyra of the Vale, an esteemed guest from the star system Talishan. The note attached to her file was brief: extremely sensitive skin, preferred gentle pressure, known for advanced healing technology in her homeland. John paid little attention, as special requests were common, and prepared the therapy room with due care: soft towels, adjustable gravity fields set at a comfortable level, and soothing music that blended earthly violins with alien flutes. The moment she entered, John's breath caught in his throat. Lyra was stunning in a way he had not previously encountered. Her shimmering violet complexion glowed under the chamber lights, and her eyes, large and liquid gold, beheld him with an intriguing warmth. A soft aura surrounded her, faint strands of light dancing around her hair, which flowed down her back like a silver waterfall. Dressed in a simple robe of pearly fabric, she offered a polite bow, introducing herself in softly accented speech. There was a regal dignity about her, an air of quiet confidence that reminded John of a noble swan gliding on water. "Mr. Anderson," she began, her voice lilting, "I have heard tales of your skill from travelers across the galaxy. My journey here has been arduous, and the weight of responsibilities has left a deep tension in my muscles. I was hoping to find relief under your practiced hands." John bowed respectfully. "It would be my honor, Lady Lyra. Please, make yourself comfortable on the table and let me know if you have any concerns." She did as asked, letting her robe slide from her shoulders. The shape of her figure, slender yet accented by subtle curvature, made John flush with a surge of professional awareness. He focused on maintaining his calm demeanor, reminding himself that she was a client, albeit an extraordinarily captivating one. Her skin, up close, shimmered with flecks of prismatic color. Once her delicate form lay on the massage table, John warmed the spa's special oil between his hands, carefully controlling the temperature. He began at her shoulders, applying gentle pressure, and was immediately struck by the remarkable softness of her physiology. It was as though her muscles and tendons existed in subtle phases, responding to his touch with small ripples of luminescence that traveled along her skin. Startled, he paused, concerned that he might be applying too much pressure, but she exhaled a soft sigh that conveyed relief. "Your hands, your touch is unlike anything I've felt before," she whispered, her tone as smooth as a lullaby. "I feel energy flowing with each movement." John continued in measured strokes, letting instinct guide him through the unusual architecture of her musculature. He kneaded tension from her neck, letting it dissolve under his palms, then proceeded to her mid-back, layering gentle pressure. Every pass left shimmering trails on her skin, faint lines of silver and purple that pulsed in time with her quiet breathing. He was entranced, but he kept his mind focused. A massage therapist's first rule: remain professional, no matter how breathtaking the client might be. Yet, as the session progressed, something peculiar seemed to awaken within her. The subtle glow around her body grew more vibrant, her breathing deepened, and she emitted a soft hum that resonated in John's chest, as though gently vibrating the air molecules. Concerned, he paused. "Is everything all right? Are you experiencing discomfort?" he asked quietly. She took a moment to respond, as if catching her breath. "No, it is not discomfort. There is a resonance I'm sensing, almost like a frequency that is stirring something within me. Pray continue. It is not unpleasant." Though a small kernel of nervousness took root in John's heart, he did as she asked, continuing the massage in a slow, steady manner. The final phase came as John used his thumbs to apply circular pressure along the base of her spine, encouraging the flow of tension to release. Lyra's hum intensified, her body shining like moonlit water, and then, with a quivering sigh, she relaxed fully into the table. The glow receded, replaced by a peaceful aura. She opened her eyes, gazed over her shoulder at John, and smiled. The expression held a potent mixture of gratitude and something else, an emotion John could not quite decipher. "That was beyond words," she told him softly, once she had donned her robe. "I feel as though I have been reborn." "Thank you, John Anderson." He gave a slight bow, feeling inexplicably self-conscious. "I'm glad you found peace in the session, Lady Lyra. Please, return anytime. It's my pleasure to assist." She nodded, her eyes lingering on him for a moment. Then she left with measured grace, leaving John standing in the violet light, uncertain why he felt as though something monumental had just transpired. That evening, as John walked through the illuminated gardens, admiring the softly pulsing crystals embedded in the walkways, his thoughts returned to Lyra. He had massaged countless clients of various species, some with mesmerizing patterns, others with subtle telekinetic abilities, but never before had he witnessed such an intense reaction, nor experienced an unspoken undercurrent of energy passing between them. His intuition whispered that this was more than a mere therapeutic session. Could it be a hallmark of her species? Or was there something uniquely resonant in the synergy between them? The mystery brewed in his mind over the next few days. His schedule continued, and the spa hummed with the usual flow of clients seeking his healing touch. Yet, to his subtle disappointment, Lyra did not reappear, nor did she send any message. He kept busy with his duties, and though he attempted to dismiss the incident, it occupied a small corner of his consciousness. With each passing evening, he would peer at the bright ring in Zyra 7's sky, wondering if she was out there, among the spires or hidden gardens, equally unsettled by what had transpired. Then, just as a hazy sense of normalcy was returning, a discreet summons arrived, bearing the Orellum Spa's official seal. John was instructed to meet in the private lounge typically reserved for high-profile guests. Curiosity and a tremor of apprehension gripped him as he walked the corridor, the walls glowing with luminescent script guiding his path. The lounge itself was a serene chamber of plush seats, an indoor water feature that cascaded from a crystal spout, and soft, orchestral music that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Inside, he found Lyra sitting gracefully, her robe replaced by a more formal gown of silver threads. Her face was somber, and her golden eyes searched his expression with a hint of worry. Tythax stood nearby, his azure complexion seeming pale. A hush fell as John entered, and he sensed that some serious matter was at hand. "Thank you for meeting us," Tythax said, clearing his throat. "Lady Lyra has requested your presence on a personal matter. John, please be advised that this discussion is confidential. We ask for your utmost discretion." John nodded, unsettled by the sudden gravity. "Of course." Lyra rose, gliding toward him with that same quiet elegance. But when she spoke, her voice trembled with uncharacteristic hesitation. "John Anderson, I pray you will not be alarmed. What I am about to share defies easy explanation." He waited, heart pounding, as she composed her words. She took a breath and said, "Our massage session. Do you recall the energy you channeled into my body? It seems to have triggered a phenomenon in my species. I am pregnant, John, and according to my people's biological scans, you are the father." A hush enveloped the lounge, broken only by the soft trickle of the water feature. John felt a jolt, as though lightning had coursed through his veins. The notion seemed impossible. Humans and extraterrestrials, especially such a striking species as Lyra's, did not simply procreate by a single touch. Yet her words, and the sincerity in her golden eyes, left no room for doubt. "What? How is that possible?" he finally managed. Tythax's voice came in quiet explanation. "Lady Lyra belongs to a rare subsect of Talashan species that reproduce through an intricate bioenergetic sequence. It is called the seraph vibration. Their physiology can, under precise circumstances, bond with a compatible energetic frequency from another being. The act can be entirely non-intimate, in the conventional sense. It appears your massage awakened that chain reaction. We have run extensive tests, and every indication points to a viable pregnancy." John stared at them both in shock. I had no idea. I mean, is this dangerous for her?" Lyra's tense features softened. "No, not dangerous. But it is highly unusual, especially with an off-worlder, one outside the Talashan genetic lines. Typically, this reproductive process only occurs between Talashan who share a very specific resonance. The probability that you could set it off is minuscule to the point of impossibility. Yet, here we stand." John's mind swirled. He wanted to protest that he had done nothing wrong, that it had merely been a professional massage, but the magnitude of the situation swept aside such trivialities. Slowly, he sank into one of the plush chairs, glancing at Lyra's expression of both concern and gentle hope. "What are we supposed to do?" he asked quietly. Lyra's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "I have chosen to carry this life, if you are willing. We Talashan hold new life as sacred. Yet, by our law, the paternal figure is recognized in the child's lineage. There are rights, responsibilities, traditions. I do not wish to impose them on you, especially if this was unintentional. But I came here to speak with you, openly, because this child will be of you and of me, a living bridge between our species." A swirl of emotion rose in John's chest. Fear, astonishment, a faint flicker of awe. How many men, in all of Earth's history, had found themselves fathering a child with an alien mother under such extraordinary circumstances? The entire notion sounded like a bizarre cosmic joke. And yet, gazing at Lyra's trembling stance, he felt a tug of empathy, a surprising sense of protectiveness. "I appreciate your honesty," he began. "I won't run away from this. This child is also mine. If you want to carry them to term, I will do what I can to help. I'm just not sure where to begin." Relief and gratitude flickered across Lyra's face. She stepped closer, gently placing a slender hand on his shoulder. "We will navigate this together. My people's medtech is quite advanced. The pregnancy will likely progress swiftly, as Talashan gestation can be accelerated if the environment is conducive. But that also means we must prepare ourselves for scrutiny, from my society, and perhaps from the Federation's legal standpoint." Tythax cleared his throat. "Indeed, once the news becomes public, there may be interest from the Zyra, Seven Council, and other interstellar authorities. But the SPA shall support you both. We ask only that you handle these developments with the dignity befitting Orellam's reputation. John, it is your choice if you wish to remain here, to share in parental responsibilities." John exhaled slowly, his world spinning with the enormity of it all. "Yes, I'd like to stay, if Lady Lyra wants that. This is the path I never imagined, but I can't simply abandon her or our child." Lyra smiled softly, her features radiant with quiet gratitude. "Thank you, John Anderson. Your willingness means more than I can express." In the days following that startling revelation, John's life shifted in ways he had never anticipated. Lyra invited him to speak with her privately, away from the hushed corridors of the spa, in a small enclave beneath one of the spired towers. There, crystalline sculptures grew organically from the floors, forming chairs and tables that glowed softly under Zyra Seven's twin moons. She explained Talashan physiology in greater detail, describing the Seraph vibration as an alignment of life energies that typically only occurred when two Talashan souls were deeply compatible, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Her people viewed reproduction as a sacred union of harmonic frequencies, and the fact that John, a human from Earth, had triggered such an event would surely raise many eyebrows. Yet, Lyra spoke with a kind, unwavering tone, explaining that she felt an unexplainable connection to him from the moment he touched her. The pregnancy, though unexpected, was not unwelcome to her. She, too, was prepared for challenges that might lie ahead. They decided to keep the news private at first, telling only Tythax and a few of Lyra's personal attendants. The Orellam Spa accommodated them by assigning them a suite with an adjoining office, giving them a discreet and comfortable place to converse. And so began the curious dance of two souls from different worlds, bound together by a phenomenon that defied probability. John found himself growing closer to Lyra with every conversation. They shared their backgrounds, their dreams, and the small details that made them who they were. He told her of Earth, of swirling sunsets, of music that soared from guitars and pianos, of the delight of laughter shared between old friends. She told him of Talashan, with its crystalline forests that chimed in the wind, its healing springs that glowed under starry skies, and its proud heritage of artisans who made wonders that shimmered with living light. By night, they would wander the spa's towering balconies, gazing up at the ring in the sky that glowed like a celestial crown. They discovered that Talashan pregnancies advanced in phases known as harmonic ascensions, each heralded by a subtle shift in Lyra's aura. Though only a few weeks had passed, it was clear her body was already adapting, her eyes shining with a deeper glow, her movements imbued with a gentle caution. He learned that, while Talashan women often exhibited outward signs of pregnancy, they maintained a certain grace, floating lightly rather than shuffling. Despite the blossoming warmth between them, neither was free of anxiety. John worried about how humanity might react if the story reached Earth's media. He had no illusions about the sensational headlines that could erupt: human massage therapist fathers alien child. The potential for negative or exploitative coverage weighed on him. Lyra worried about the Talashan Council, who might question the legitimacy of this union or suspect some motive. They each carried these burdens with as much calm as they could muster, confiding in one another when the weight felt too great. During daylight hours, John continued to work as a massage therapist, though with a reduced schedule. Tythax insisted that John's talents were still in demand, and John agreed that maintaining some normalcy was important. However, new rumors began circulating among the spa staff. John could sense the curious glances, the soft hush that fell when he passed, and the politely masked intrigue among colleagues who noticed him and Lyra spending time together. Yet, out of respect, or perhaps out of a sense of decorum, few dared to inquire directly. One bright morning, after a session with a broad-shouldered reptilian dignitary who praised John for banishing knotted tension in his back, John received a discreet message from an associate of Lyra's. He was told to go to the Chamber of Ribbons, a small medical suite within the spa complex, for an important update on Lyra's pregnancy. Eager yet anxious, he followed the directions, descending a spiral staircase that led to a hidden corridor lined with shimmering glass mosaic. Upon entering, he found Lyra resting on a reclined seat, her eyes closed in a state of peaceful concentration. Next to her stood an older Talashan woman, whose lavender hair was coiled into an intricate style. She introduced herself as Seraphine, a Talishan medical specialist adept in cross-species biology. "Greetings, Mr. Anderson," she said, her voice kind. "I've been attending to Lady Lyra's wellness. We've detected the early formation of the child's energetic signatures. Fascinating readings indeed. The child is stable, healthy, and, in some senses, more robust than expected. It appears that your human DNA, merged with the Talishan harmonic frequencies, is forging a resilient new synergy." John exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Relief washed over him. "That's good news, I hope?" Seraphine nodded. "Very. There is little indication of complications. However, Talishan pregnancies proceed in distinctive leaps, ascensions, rather than a steady linear path. The next ascension might bring changes for Lyra, both physiological and emotional. She may grow more attuned to your presence, requiring your stabilizing energy to ease the transitions." John's brow furrowed. "What do you mean by stabilizing energy?" Lyra, opening her eyes, managed a small smile. "It is said that, during Talishan gestation, the mother's aura resonates with that of the father to nurture the forming child. Usually, the father is of Talishan blood, and their energies flow in sync. But with you, a human, we must explore how to harmonize these frequencies. Seraphine suggests that we spend time in quiet meditation together or share gentle contact, so that the child receives the balanced energies needed." He felt a pang of uncertainty. "I'm willing to try. I only hope my presence doesn't cause any disruption." Seraphine's smile was reassuring. "You need not worry. Already, the bond is forming. We will do everything possible to guide you both." Thus began a new chapter in John's life on Zyra 7, one of quiet joint meditations and a blossoming intimacy that was as emotional as it was spiritual. Each morning, he and Lyra would retreat to a small chamber in the spa's garden, where hanging vines of lavender hue dripped with soft, bioluminescent flowers. There, they would sit side by side, hands loosely touching, breathing in tandem. Lyra's aura would envelop them both in a shimmering glow, like a gentle veil in the air, and John would feel a subtle hum run through his body, as though an invisible cord had been plucked at the core of his being. At first, the sensation was startling. He worried he might upset the delicate energies. But, with Lyra's guidance, he learned to relax, letting the resonance flow naturally. Through these shared meditations, they not only nurtured the child, but also forged a deeper connection to each other. Confessions came in whispers. John revealed old insecurities, how he sometimes felt overshadowed by the vast talents in the spa, or how he had often yearned for a purpose grander than any he knew on Earth. Lyra spoke of the pressures of her status among the Talishan, how she had spent much of her life striving to uphold her family's reputation, and how solitude often claimed her despite her outward grace. These quiet moments, filled with vulnerability and trust, sewed their hearts together with a thread more potent than mere physical attraction. Before either realized it, they found themselves lingering after each session, wandering side by side through the luscious gardens, discussing not only the child but also their hopes for the future. "I never believed my life would lead me here," John murmured one evening. The sky was painted with the brilliant swirl of cosmic dust from the planet's ring, and the sweet scent of nocturnal blooms perfumed the breeze. "Fathering an alien child, on a distant planet. It's incredible, Lyra." She turned her golden gaze upon him, her lips curved in a gentle smile. "I, too, am humbled by the wondrous path fate has taken. We Talishan hold that the cosmos is full of hidden harmonies, energies that intersect at the right time, in the right place, to create miracles. Perhaps this is our miracle, John." He let her words settle over him, feeling the warmth of her presence. In that moment, amid the dim glow of star-flecked skies, John lightly placed a hand over her gently curving belly, feeling a faint pulse of energy ripple through his palm. Despite his earlier confusion and concern, a surge of paternal protectiveness blossomed inside him. Predictably, news of Lyra's pregnancy did not remain a secret for long. Whispers among the spa staff turned into quiet speculation, which soon made its way into official channels, and eventually, a swirl of rumors reached the ears of the Zyra 7 Council. The idea that a Talishan noble had conceived a child with a human man, by means of an unorthodox method, was too sensational to remain hidden. A hush fell across the spa's lively corridors whenever John and Lyra passed, though the official stance was one of respect and well wishes. Yet, beyond the spa walls, tongues wagged, and tensions began to simmer. Zyra, 7, was home to many species, some quite open-minded, others more conservative. The concept of an interspecies pregnancy, especially one involving the famed Talashin, incited varied reactions. One afternoon, Tythax informed them both that a council liaison named Counselor Ralix requested an audience regarding the matter. Ralix was known for his traditional views, and this did little to calm John's nerves. Yet, with resolute determination, Lyra and John agreed to attend, believing that transparency might ease any controversy. They arrived at the Grand Council Hall, a dome carved from polished obsidian, in which floating orbs of light provided illumination. Rows of council members from myriad species sat in tiered seats, each wearing formal attire. Counselor Ralix, a tall figure with pale green skin and an austere gaze, presided over the meeting. He gestured for them to stand at the center of the hall, a single spotlight casting their shadows across the gleaming floor. Lady Lyra of Talashin, Ralix began, his voice echoing. "We understand you bear the child of this human, John Anderson. The situation is most unconventional, and the Council is concerned about the ramifications for interspecies relations. We would be remiss not to investigate any potential risk or misunderstanding." Lyra inclined her head. "I understand your concerns, Counselor. Yet I assure you, this pregnancy is a natural result of the Talashin harmonic resonance, triggered by John's unique energetic frequency. It is no political ploy, no experiment. We ask for your understanding." Ralix's lips tightened. "Your statement is clear, but many among us find it improbable that a human could so easily conceive with a Talashin. Some suspect advanced gene manipulation or hidden agendas. Others fear the child might bear unpredictable traits or powers that could prove volatile. The Federation of Allied Worlds has guidelines for cross-species reproduction. We must ensure compliance." John stepped forward, his heart pounding. "I'm just a massage therapist from Earth, Counselor. I had no idea this was even possible. I certainly haven't conspired to break any laws. All we want is to have our child in peace and care for them responsibly." A low murmur swept through the council rows. On one side, a reptilian delegate flicked his tongue thoughtfully, while on another, an avian figure with luminous feathers ruffled in curiosity. None seemed overtly hostile, but the undertone of skepticism was evident. At length, Counselor Ralix sighed. "We shall require medical verification from Talashin specialists, ensuring there is no wrongdoing. Furthermore, because this union is unprecedented, we request that Lady Lyra and Mr. Anderson remain accessible for observation, purely to ascertain the child's well-being. The Council aims to protect all parties." Lyra lifted her chin, regal and unyielding. "We shall comply, Counselor. But understand this. Talashin law is equally protective of our unborn. If interference becomes invasive or threatens the safety of our child, I will not hesitate to invoke our sovereign rights. We desire collaboration, not conflict." A hush fell, and Ralix nodded stiffly. "Very well. Then let us proceed with caution and measured goodwill." As the meeting adjourned, John felt the tension in the room dissipate slightly, though not entirely. He sensed that a precarious spotlight had been cast upon them, subjecting them to scrutiny that could intensify at the slightest provocation. Lyra took his arm, and they made their way out of the grand hall, dignified yet unsettled. Outside, a few reporters from various star systems awaited, pressing for a statement. Flashes from automated cameras, shaped like floating spheres, snapped images and recorded data. John did his best to remain composed, politely declining comment. Lyra, meanwhile, issued a brief statement that they were cooperating fully with the Council to ensure the well-being of the child, and that no further details could be provided at this time. Thus began a period of watchful waiting. For weeks, Tythax juggled the spa's public relations, ensuring that curious off-world visitors did not swarm the Orellum in hopes of gleaning sensational details. Lyra underwent official checkups with Seraphine, who recorded the baby's progress. The reports, submitted to the Council, confirmed that the pregnancy was free of abnormalities. Indeed, It was progressing in a manner consistent with Talashan development, albeit with some intriguing differences in the child's energy field, differences that, so far, seemed benign. Meanwhile, John wrestled with a sense of displacement. When he walked the spa's corridors, he often encountered hushed whispers or fleeting glances. A few staff members, particularly those from species that prized open-minded curiosity, offered quiet congratulations and sincere smiles. But others displayed wariness or disapproval, perhaps suspecting that he had manipulated circumstances or harbored some hidden ambition. Lyra, steadfast in her determination, urged him to stand proud and meet these challenges with dignity. "Our child deserves two parents unafraid of the world's gaze," she told him one afternoon as they strolled near the lagoon. "When they are born, let them see in our faces the conviction that love and cooperation can unite any difference." He took those words to heart, though the weight they carried often left him weary at day's end. During that period, he found solace in a surprising new ally, Dr. Murillo, an Earthborn xenobiologist working at the spa. Dr. Murillo had been stationed on Zyra 7 for decades, studying cross-species physiology. Upon learning that John was fathering a Talashan child, Murillo approached him with fascination, not condemnation. "It's remarkable," Dr. Murillo said over a cup of herbal tea one late evening in the staff lounge. "I've encountered hybrids before, but never a Talashan human mix. Their entire reproductive mechanism is unique. If you ever need advice or scientific perspective, particularly relating to Earth's paternal norms, please come see me. My door is open." Grateful for the support, John did precisely that. He spent hours discussing Earth's paternal customs, from Lamaze classes to the concept of baby showers, mostly foreign to Zyra 7. Dr. Murillo, in turn, explained complexities of Talashan biology that Seraphine might have overlooked, bridging the gap between human and alien science. These chats offered John a safe haven, a tether to Earth's familiarity, and a calm sense of understanding that renewed his resolve. As Lyra's pregnancy entered its second ascension, a phase marked by a distinct quickening of the child's aura, she and John were summoned to Talashan territory on Zyra 7, a private compound of shimmering spires that served as a cultural enclave for her Opal. With their advanced starflight capabilities, many Talashan traveled frequently, but some kept enclaves on various worlds to maintain traditions. Lyra's father, Lord Acarex, resided there, having journeyed from Talashan's home planet upon hearing of his daughter's condition. The journey to the Talashan enclave took them across Zyra 7's pastel deserts, through canyons that glowed with embedded crystals, and beneath towering archways carved ages ago. The compound itself was a marvel of architecture, reminiscent of ephemeral castles woven from beams of light. Walls rippled with glowing designs that seemed to shift as one passed, and at night, the entire structure radiated gently, as if lit from within by a cosmic dawn. Yet, behind the breathtaking beauty lurked the uncertainty of how Lyra's father would react. She had confided to John that Lord Acarex was a traditionalist, proud of Talashan heritage, and known for his strict sense of honor. When the day of their audience arrived, John dressed in a formal robe provided by the enclave, a garment in subdued shades of silver that harmonized with Lyra's attire. Nervousness coiled in his stomach like a serpent, but Lyra's steady hand on his arm offered comfort. They entered a grand hall where pillars of crystalline structure soared to a vaulted ceiling. At the far end, Lord Acarex stood, robed in deep amethyst, his posture regal. His features resembled Lyra's, sharing the same luminous eyes and elegantly shaped face, though age had etched lines of wisdom into his brow. "Daughter," he greeted, voice resonating with solemn gravity. "Welcome home." Lyra inclined her head. "Father." His gaze flicked to John, who bowed respectfully, mindful of Talashan decorum. For a tense moment, Acarex appraised him, golden eyes unreadable. Then, with a measured step, he approached, clasping his hands behind his back. "So, you are the human who fathered my grandchild," he said, neither unkindly nor with overt warmth. "I have struggled to comprehend how this came to pass. But life seldom seeks our permission for its miracles." John swallowed. I never intended disrespect, my lord. Your daughter is extraordinary, and I wish only to stand by her side and care for the child." Acarex let out a low hum, a sound that might have been acceptance or caution. "You speak with honesty, which is commendable. My concerns lie not only with tradition, but also with the well-being of my child and her offspring. The Talashan face enough challenges in a galaxy wary of differences. An unprecedented hybrid child may invite complexities." Lyra placed a hand on her abdomen, chin lifted. "Father, I love our people, but I will not forsake this child. John has shown only respect and devotion. Let us not cast aside this new life out of fear of the unknown." Acarex studied her, a faint tremor in his expression betraying paternal affection. "You have inherited your mother's willfulness, dear Lyra. Very well, then. We shall proceed. The child will belong to the Talashan bloodline, albeit in an unusual capacity. We must see to it that they are accepted, not used as a curiosity or a subject of derision." The meeting continued, mostly a cautious exchange about ceremonial responsibilities and the child's future status. Talashan customs dictated certain rites of passage that recognized the child's belonging to the mother's clan. Acarex laid out these traditions, advising that, once the child was born, a formal naming ceremony must be held. John, included but still an outsider, pledged to honor these traditions as best he could. Despite the tension, there were glimmers of possibility, hints that Acarex might come to accept this union in time, though John sensed it would not be an easy road. That evening, the Enclave hosted a small gathering in Lyra's honor. Musicians played instruments woven from living crystals, producing hauntingly lovely melodies. Guests sipped beverages that shimmered with swirling color. A handful of Lyra's kin approached John politely, if a bit distantly, curious about Earth and his role in the child's conception. One elder complimented his forthrightness, remarking that perhaps, in bridging their worlds, they might sow seeds of future cooperation. John's nerves calmed somewhat with each conversation. Gazing across the chamber, he saw Lyra speaking to a cluster of Talashan women, her eyes bright with quiet pride. He felt a wave of gratitude for her calm confidence, for the acceptance he perceived from at least some members of her family. As the night wore on, they shared a moment on an outdoor terrace overlooking the compound's crystalline spires. The air was cool, scented with a fragrant breeze from the desert below. Lyra leaned lightly against John's shoulder, letting out a content sigh. "That went better than I expected," she murmured. "Father can be formidable, but he seems open to learning more about you." John draped an arm gently around her. "I'm just relieved I didn't offend him. A few months ago, I was just a regular guy on Earth, working at a spa. Now I'm navigating alien customs and fatherhood in the same breath." Lyra chuckled softly, a radiant sound. "We will figure this out. If our child is truly meant to be a bridge between our peoples, then let that bridge be built on mutual respect and love." In that moment, John felt his heart swell. He realized that, for all the swirling chaos and unpredictability, he would not trade his place at Lyra's side for anything. As the pregnancy advanced, media chatter grew more fervent, like a storm gathering at the edge of the horizon. Off-world news outlets spun sensational tales. Human man fathers mysterious alien heir. Some commentators lauded the event as a triumph of galactic unity, while others stoked fears of monstrous hybrids. Paparazzi drones occasionally hovered near the spa, seeking glimpses of John and Lyra, but the Orellum staff enforced strict privacy measures. Still, tension lingered in the air. One morning, John was startled to find an official subpoena from a group calling itself the Coalition for Species Purity. They demanded that John and Lyra undergo a public hearing, claiming that their child's birth contravened certain guidelines meant to preserve the genetic integrity of distinct species. The council recognized the coalition's petition, setting a date for a hearing to address the matter. Alarmed, John and Lyra met with Tythax and Dr. Murillo, forming a plan to counter any allegations that the pregnancy was artificial or malicious. Meanwhile, Acarex dispatched Talashan legal representatives, determined to defend his daughter and grandchild's right to exist free from hostility. The days leading up to the hearing were fraught with meetings, strategy sessions, and uneasy reflection. Despite the swirl of controversy, John continued to hold Lyra's hand through her next ascension, which manifested with a radiant blossoming of her aura, flooding entire rooms with gentle, violet light whenever she felt strong emotion. Her belly, though not large by human standards, was distinctly rounded, and John marveled at each sign of life stirring within her. He would place his hand gently on her abdomen, feeling small flutters of energy that might have been the baby's movements. Lyra's eyes often glowed with tears of joy, even as worry about the upcoming hearing weighed on her. On the day of the hearing, the council hall was more crowded than before. Delegates, journalists, and onlookers filled every seat. Representatives of the Coalition for Species Purity stood on one side, stern and unyielding, clad in dark formal wear. John and Lyra, flanked by Dr. Murillo, Tythax, and Talashan advocates, occupied the center dais, hearts pounding. A council elder opened the proceedings, inviting the coalition's spokesperson to speak. A tall, gaunt humanoid with elongated limbs stepped forward, voice sharp as a blade. "We do not condemn legitimate cross-species relations," he began. "But this pregnancy is beyond normal comprehension. It raises grave concerns of scientific manipulation or the exploitation of Talashan physiology. We demand transparency. Were experiments performed? Was this child engineered?" Lyra bristled, her protective instincts flaring. John cleared his throat, stepping forward. "No experiments were performed. It was an accidental, but natural, convergence of Talashan biology and my own energetic frequency. Tests by Talashan medics and Dr. Murillo confirmed that the process, though rare, occurred organically. We are fully transparent. Our records are available." Murmurs rippled through the audience. The coalition spokesman continued, "We remain unconvinced. This union may set a precedent for unscrupulous meddling in the future. If species lines are blurred without oversight, we risk dire consequences for galactic stability. We demand that this child be studied extensively, perhaps even removed from maternal custody if necessary, for the greater good." John felt his blood run cold. Lyra trembled with outrage. Before she could speak, Acarex, seated among the Talashan representatives, rose to his feet, voice resonating with clear authority. "You forget yourselves, Coalition. Talashan law is sovereign regarding our offspring. You have no right to demand the forced removal of Lady Lyra's child. My grandson is not a test subject." Across the hall, an uproar of debate ensued. Some delegates nodded in agreement with Acarex, while others seemed uncertain. The coalition pressed on, insisting that the child's unique hybrid nature made it a matter of public concern. Tythax pleaded for calmer discourse, underscoring that the pregnancy had undergone numerous medical assessments with no sign of danger to any party. At last, Dr. Murillo approached the podium with a calm, yet firm demeanor. He displayed holographic scans of the child's development, annotated with specialized data. "Counselors, as a xenobiologist, I have dedicated my career to understanding cross-species development. These scans demonstrate stable, healthy growth. The child's genetic structure is a harmonious blend of human and Talashan traits, with no sign of the anomalies typically associated with artificial manipulation. There is no evidence of wrongdoing or danger." His speech carried weight, and as the hollow display flickered overhead, the audience seemed to hold its collective breath. Council members scrutinized the data. After a lengthy series of pointed questions, Councillor Ralix rose from his seat. "In light of this evidence," Ralix intoned, "the Council finds no basis for forcibly separating Lady Lyra and Mr. Anderson from their child, nor for halting the pregnancy. The Coalition's concerns about potential future abuses remain noted, but in this specific case, no proof of malpractice exists. The unborn child is recognized under Talashan legal protections, and we shall uphold that recognition." A palpable wave of relief swept over John, Lyra, and their allies. Though the Coalition's members grumbled in dissatisfaction, they had been thwarted by the facts. When the hearing adjourned, many rushed forward to congratulate the couple. Even some who had been skeptical now looked upon them with cautious acceptance. Outside the council hall, John and Lyra took a moment in a quiet courtyard, away from the throng of reporters. He clasped her hands in his, searching her eyes. "We've cleared a big hurdle, but there might be more ahead." She leaned in, resting her forehead against his. "We will face them together." The final weeks of Lyra's pregnancy sped by in a blur. She prepared a special chamber within the Talashan enclave, sanctified for the baby's birth. At the same time, John tried to incorporate a touch of Earth tradition. With small gestures such as offering warm cloths and mild lullabies he recalled from his childhood. The synergy of both cultures, woven together, became a testament to their commitment. Late one night, beneath the glow of Zyra Seven's ring, Lyra felt a surge of energy that nearly overwhelmed her senses. The child was ready. Alarmed, John fetched Seraphine and Dr. Murillo, who arrived swiftly with the necessary equipment, some of it Talashan in nature, some more akin to Earth's medical technology, each complementing the other. Within the softly lit chamber, Lyra reclined on a platform of interwoven crystal strands, breathing through waves of glowing aura that cascaded over her body. John knelt at her side, holding her hand, astonished by the luminous pulses that emanated from her skin. Talashan birthing rites involved chanting in melodic tones that resonated with the child's aura, easing the passage from womb to open air. Minutes felt like hours, and yet, no cries pierced the hush, only the rhythmic chanting, the hum of energy. At last, a crescendo of light erupted, and the child emerged. A hush fell, broken only by the newborn's soft, wavering breath. Gently, Seraphine lifted the baby into Lyra's arms. John's eyes grew misty as he beheld his child, a delicate figure with skin of pale lavender hue, flecked with shimmering glints like stars in a twilight sky. The baby's hair was soft and dark, reminiscent of John's human lineage, yet their eyes, blinking open to peer at the world, gleamed with the Talashan's signature golden light. In that instant, all the tension, worry, and fear that had dogged him dissipated into a profound sense of love. He leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to the baby's brow. "Welcome to the universe," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. Lyra, tears staining her cheeks, smiled radiantly. "They are perfect, John." Seraphine nodded approvingly, scanning the newborn with a handheld device. "All vitals stable. A healthy, strong heartbeat and a balanced energy field. Congratulations to both of you." Dr. Murillo chimed in, eyes shining with scientific wonder. "A remarkable child indeed." A wave of euphoria washed through the enclave as word of the successful birth spread. Acarex, bowing his head with unmasked relief, approached to see his grandchild. The stoic man's features softened, all lighting his eyes. In that tender moment, boundaries of tradition and personal pride fell away. "A new star in the Talashan constellation," he said quietly, gently touching the infant's tiny hand. John cradled the baby, heart pounding with a blend of fear and wonder. He was a father. He was a father on an alien planet, to a child who bore traits of two worlds. He gazed at Lyra, who offered him a comforting smile, as if to say, "You are not alone." That reassurance steadied him like an anchor. In the following days, close friends and family visited discreetly, offering blessings and gifts. The spa staff, overjoyed by the news, sent well wishes from across the planet. Even Tythax arrived, bearing a small carved figurine of an interlocked circle, a symbolic token for unity and hope. The child's arrival seemed to cast a spell of optimism, momentarily stilling the swirling controversies. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of late-night feedings, quiet lullabies, and gentle bonding. Though Talashan infancy had its unique rhythms, energy fluctuations, periodic bursts of soft glow, the experience of sleepless nights, and tender care resonated with the universal nature of parenthood. Lyra and John, guided by Dr. Murillo's bridging knowledge, navigated each milestone with wonder and occasional fumbling. As the newborn thrived, public curiosity did not abate. With the coalition's protests now largely dismissed, media outlets pivoted to more supportive or neutral coverage, dubbing the child a symbol of interspecies harmony. Some suggested the baby might one day become an ambassador for peace between worlds. Though Lyra and John found the attention overwhelming, they accepted it with cautious grace, knowing that the child's unique heritage carried a greater responsibility. Once Lyra had regained her strength, the Talashan enclave organized the formal naming ceremony. In Talashan culture, the mother's line typically bestowed a name derived from ancestral energies, enhanced with a personal creative flourish. Lyra's father, Acarex, accompanied her, carrying a ceremonial chalice that glowed with swirling starlight. John stood alongside them, wearing new robes gifted by Acarex, feeling both excitement and nerves. Amid swirling incense and gentle chanting, Lyra held the child aloft. Her voice, sweet and resonant, declared, "I present to you, Orion Saranvara, the child of a new era, bridging Earth and Talashin with harmony." Soft gasps of approval and wonder spread through the gathered crowd, many of whom placed a hand over their heart in recognition of this precious life. John repeated the name quietly, voice choked with emotion. Orion. It felt like starlight on his tongue. In a time-honored gesture, Acarex placed a slender circlet, inlaid with crystals, around the baby's tiny head, a symbol of belonging to the Talashin lineage. Then, to John's surprise, he offered a respectful bow, acknowledging John as Orion's father. Touched by this acceptance, John bowed deeply in return. That evening, as the festivities subsided, John and Lyra found themselves alone on a balcony overlooking the shimmering desert. Orion slept peacefully in Lyra's arms, tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. John draped a warm shawl around them, mindful of the slightly cooler night breeze. "I never thought life could be this beautiful," he murmured, gazing upon his family. "A few months ago, I was on Earth, massaging stressed Earthlings and dreaming of some excitement. Now, I'm part of something beyond my wildest imagination." Lyra leaned her head against his shoulder, eyes glistening with affection. "It is wondrous indeed. And it is only the beginning, John. Our child has been welcomed, and though many challenges remain, I believe we have forged a path of hope for others who might follow." In that moment, the baby stirred, a soft coo escaping tiny lips, and a gentle radiance flickered around Orion's form. John felt a warmth spread through his heart, and he kissed Lyra's forehead, overwhelmed with gratitude. The ring around Zyra, 7, shimmered overhead, as though blessing them with cosmic light. In the distance, one could see the faint luminescent arches of the Orellum Spa, the place where it had all begun. Time glided forward, weaving each day into a tapestry of love, learning, and occasional tribulations. Orion grew with surprising speed, displaying signs of both human curiosity and Talashin sensitivity to energy. Under Lyra's patient guidance and John's steady support, the child blossomed into a gentle soul who laughed often and gazed upon the world with wide-eyed wonder. Though curious onlookers and occasional critics persisted, the overarching narrative around John and Lyra's union shifted. Many saw them as pioneers of a new era, an example of how disparate species might find common ground and mutual respect. Invitations to speak at interstellar cultural forums trickled in, and though they initially declined most, they eventually accepted a few, sharing their experiences in the hopes of promoting understanding. Back at the Orellum Spa, a once skeptical staff offered heartfelt congratulations whenever John visited, excited to see Orion cooing or toddling along the luminous corridors. Tythax beamed at the child, occasionally teasing John about one day training Orion in the art of alien massage techniques. Dr. Murillo, brimming with paternal pride of his own, carefully documented Orion's development, balancing scientific inquiry with genuine affection for the family. On one particularly radiant morning, Lyra and John decided to walk along the lagoon near the spa. Orion perched on John's shoulders, giggling at the glimmer of fish-like creatures darting beneath the water's surface. A group of spa clients from varied species observed them from a distance, smiling at the scene. For a few peaceful moments, John let the gentle hush of the lagoon wash over him, savoring the breeze. Lyra slipped her hand into his, her voice low with contentment. "Do you recall when we first met in that massage chamber, how uncertain everything was?" He laughed softly. "How could I forget? I was just trying not to offend the breathtaking alien woman who came to me for relief." She chuckled, leaning in to press a kiss to his cheek. "We have journeyed far since then, have we not? From a chance resonance to building a life, forging a family." John nodded, heart full. "I wouldn't change a thing." Orion squirmed happily, chattering in a blend of soft coos and syllables from both English and Talashin dialect. The child reached out to pat John's head, as if to demand more attention. Laughing, John obliged, bouncing gently and receiving a chorus of baby giggles in return. Hand in hand, they meandered down the shore, each footstep leaving a subtle glow on the sands. Overhead, the swirling ring that made Zyra, seven so uniquely beautiful arced across the sky, symbolizing the cosmic tapestry that had bound them together. In that serene instant, all fears seemed distant. The promise of tomorrow, bright with possibility, danced in the reflection of the lagoon's waters. In the end, their story was not merely one of improbable conception, but of two souls, and eventually three, forging unity in a universe teeming with diverse life. Together, they faced challenges, overcame prejudice, and found something precious at the intersection of their worlds. And so they walked forward into the horizon of a vibrant dawn, brimming with hope, secure in the knowledge that their love and their child embodied a bridge between galaxies, shining proof that understanding and compassion could indeed thrive among the stars.